Hello everyone, welcome to NinjaLlamas Gaming. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video. This one's going to be top 10 games ever made, in my opinion. Any game ever released, any category, any type of game, any console. It is all up for contention for what will be number one. And this is not just in general best games ever made in terms of like critically acclaimed or anything. This is my enjoyment and just the ones I've played. Now I've not played some of the biggest games ever. I've played a lot of the big ones, but a lot of these that you're used to seeing, like, honestly, I thought Zelda Ocarina of Time was overrated. That game was pretty good, but not like near best ever. Stuff like that, like that's not even going to be on the list. So just, it's going to be a little bit different, but I hope you enjoy it. This is my personal opinion and how much enjoyment I got out of the game with some random Dark Souls 3 gameplay in the background. We're about to fight with a Crystal Sage boss, I'm pretty sure. But number 10 is going to be the original Gears of War. And now a lot of people might say this is crazy, but on the Xbox 360 on this game, you could play this full game in split screen. And I used to have a friend who come over every day through the whole summer, and we played this game for like 6 or 7 hours straight every night. Just beat it. It was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had out of any game. And it was just crazy good. The story, the bosses, everything about it. I just loved it. The gunplay was phenomenal. The third person, I still think that's the best one in the series out of the ones I've played, the original. But it was extremely good. And split screen is really what made it by itself. If it was just me playing that game, it probably wouldn't have been in the top 10. But just having somebody always split screen with, it was just phenomenal. And honestly, I don't remember much that happened in the game. I don't remember the story. I remember like how much I remember the gameplay and stuff, but not the story. So I'd have to try it again soon. But number 10 was Gears of War, the original, and number 9, this is a very widely acclaimed game, which is Resident Evil 4. And I don't even remember what console I played this on, but I can still remember the boss fights. I can remember the final boss fight. It was just crazy. I was so young playing that game, but the fact that I could still remember almost all of it, just thinking, I haven't played that game in forever, but just thinking about it, I can remember all of it. That game was straight up scary when I was younger, and it was just phenomenal. And to get somebody my age who didn't play much games besides Mario Kart and stuff like that back then, to beat an entire game, like a Resident Evil game especially, like, it had to grip my interest, and I just loved it, and it was scary, and actually the boss fights, how memorable a game is, has a lot to do with it, and I could still remember some of the final boss fights. It was just crazy how much fun that game was and how scary it was for me as a kid, and it was just still widely regarded as one of the best games ever too, so I know it's not just nostalgia talking. Number 9 was Resident Evil 4, and number 8 is the original Mario Galaxy. And when this game came out on the Wii, it was amazing. I don't think anyone expected it to be anything near what it was. It was good, and it was the gravity movement, like being able to float through the space and stuff, still might be the best movement in any game ever made in terms of just how balanced, and like whatever you thought Mario was going to do, like it actually happened. Like you could jump out in space and it would flip you up to a planet above you if like the gravity would pull you that way. And it was just everything you thought about, like everything you thought would happen with the movement and the gravity and the mechanics, it all happened. It was like so realistic even for a Mario game. I know that sounds weird, but it just was. And still some of the stuff in that game I'll just never forget. And people say the second one's better, but we'll see later on in the list. And but the original was just the first time that anything like that had ever been done. Mario 64 and Sunshine had obviously been out, but they were just some of the like I said, the mechanics in that game, the boss fights, everything about it, and even the story's never much in Mario games, but like just the entire experience was so original and new. You didn't know what was coming because, like I said, a game like that had never been done before, and it's just widely regarded as one of the best games ever for a reason, and maybe the best Wii game ever for a reason as well. Number 7, Mario Galaxy. Number 6, here's one that's never on anyone's top 10 list, which is Pokemon Heart Gold. And people could say Gold or Heart Gold. It doesn't even matter. Just the Heart Gold's newer with better graphics, and I played it. 2 full regions in a Pokemon game. That's just crazy. 16 gyms, 2 Elite Fours. The amount of legendaries you could get in that game was absolutely crazy for the time on the DS. And I had the little Pokewalker thing. I don't even remember what it was called. The little bracelet or whatever it came with, the Pokeball. You could train them by walking stuff. That was always cool. But just the amount of stuff to do in that game, and I'll never forget it. It was like Christmas Eve. I got a bunch of money, and I ran straight to GameStop and bought it and played it nonstop. Like, I knew that was what I knew I wasn't going to get the game, but I knew I was going to buy it no matter what. Like, it was just that big of a deal at the time. Heart Gold, having 16 gems, like I said. And obviously, I was born in 2001, so I never played the original when it came out. But for me and all my friends we mostly got started on Diamond and Pearl, so having something like that was absolutely crazy and groundbreaking at the time. And that we played that game nonstop, me and my friends. It was just all we talked about for probably a year. And number 6 is Pokemon Heart Gold. Number 5. And by the way, I'm like some of these I have them rated, and a lot of them are just the same rating. Like Mario Galaxy and Resident Evil are 9.5 in my mind, but there's just, I don't know, some 9.5s are better than the other. And this is the first one where it gets really high, which is Heart Gold has 7.5, and Mario Odyssey had a 9.75. Like, this is just in my mind, but it's like some games are better than the other. Just, I don't know. It's hard to measure, but I just wanted to put a rating on them so I would have some kind of judging basis. And it's just, all these games are so close. There's not a big difference in any of the scores, so you could switch any of these 10. But I think the final 5, or the final 6 that we started right here, these are, you could put any of these number 1 and I wouldn't complain. But number 6 is hold on, this is 6. Sorry. This is Mario Odyssey, and this is the one that came out last year on the Switch. And I played it at midnight as soon as it came out, 12:01. I was playing it. I beat the game in 6 days. I played it nonstop. That is all I did. And being able to take it anywhere, you can beat games on the Switch so quickly. But it was just insane how much you could do with the movement and Cappy and the hat and everything. It was just, and the final boss sequence in that game with Bowser, it still might be the best boss fight in any game ever, to be honest. It was just crazy awesome. And spoilers right here, getting to play as Bowser, like in running through and trying to avoid everything at the end, that last fight was insane. And going back and getting the moons, that game is still fun to play. Like, I could pick it up right now and play it for an hour, and time would just fly by, because getting moons in that game is fun, and there's still stuff to unlock after you beat the game. And having all the silver crystal blocks open up, that just opens up so much more of the map. But like I said, there's just so much to do. You're never bored, and that game makes you smile and laugh more than any game maybe I've ever played. And it was near perfection. If it was a little bit longer and it was a little bit tougher, that's my only complaints, is it was a little too easy and a little too short. But like I said, you can do stuff afterwards, which kind of opens the game up even more. But if it was a tougher game, that would probably be number 1. It was just the easiness was what really put it down a little bit for me. But it's worth buying a Switch just for that game and another game that will be coming up in a few minutes. I'm sure you have a guess. But Mario Odyssey was, in my opinion, one of the best Mario games ever. Because, like I said, Mario Galaxy's on this list. I said a lot of them were close, but I don't know. I feel like Odyssey and having a Switch and taking it anywhere really enhanced the experience. And it was just an amazing game to play. And I was one of the best 6 days of gaming I've ever had with how fast I beat that game. And I still play it every now and then, but I played it for a solid month after it came out, probably daily, just playing the moons and everything. It was crazy good. And now we're getting into the top 5. And I have every one of these games rated at a 10, which is pretty funny. Like I said, some 10s are better than other 10s. It's just weird. But like I said, I don't have Mario Odyssey as a 10, but honestly, these ratings were off the top of my head. Wasn't even really thinking. So you could put any of these top 6 at number 1, and I wouldn't complain. And this game, I have the most playtime out of any game ever, which is my number 5. I have 650 hours just recorded on my PS3 on my account. Not even like I'm playing at friends' houses and on other accounts and stuff. I have 650 hours in Black Ops 2, the best Call of Duty ever made, and probably will never be topped. Anyone who played that game, it's still widely regarded as the best Call of Duty ever made. This and Modern Warfare 2 are really close. But just the multiplayer, getting a full party on this game, the maps, the guns, the score streaks, the perks, the grenades, everything about it. This is about as perfect as Call of Duty as you could get. The zombies in this game was absolutely phenomenal. That's still has some of my favorite maps ever, which is like Origins, Mob of the Dead, Buried, stuff like that. This game was just crazy, and they added new stuff all the time. First game to ever have a DLC gun, and they actually did it correctly in that game. You bought the DLC, you got the gun. First game to really have crazy camos. It was just so much of everything. First game to have the Pick 10 system, which is pretty much in every Call of Duty except for World War II right now. And it's even Activision themselves said this was the most successful Call of Duty they've ever had in terms of people playing at a given time and how much like continued playtime they had. And I played this game for 3 years straight because of Ghost came out, and then I liked Advanced Warfare, but I still just Black Ops 2 was always the best, and it still is. Like, I still play this game from time to time on my cousin's Xbox and PlayStation, and it's just as fun as it ever was. It's just, I don't think it will ever be topped in terms of how good a Call of Duty game can be. This is pretty much the perfect online shooter, and I don't think it gets better than this. And that is why I have Black Ops 2 at number 5. Number 4, and I have right here, this one is, like I said, another game you have to buy a Switch for these two, and this is Zelda Breath of the Wild. Okay, so I don't do too much single player games. Like, if it's a good one, I'll play it through it quick. But I bought this, and I didn't even know how long it took. And like, I beat the game, like I played it nonstop, and then I checked, and it said I had 40 hours, like really quick, like not even very long after I bought the Switch at all. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, because single player games, like I love single player games. A lot of these have been single player games on here, but having just uh, taking the time out of Call of Duty and all the stuff that was out at the time and just playing Breath of the Wild, and I got 40 hours into that quick, and I beat the game. Now the only downside is the replayability is not very much because then you already know what the puzzles are, and puzzles are one of the best parts of Zelda. But I thought the game was just so good. The weapon durability I actually liked because it made it interesting. Like you had to be smart with your weapons. You couldn't just go in hitting and use the same weapon the whole game like you can in other games, which can make it a little unfair in other games. But there you have to keep always thinking through what you're going to use, when you're going to use it. And the final boss fight again, and oh my gosh, I'll never forget it. I still have screenshots on my Switch of just all three phases of it, and it's just crazy. Just my mind being blown with everything about it, and the cutscene coming into it with all the four divine beasts and all the four legendary champions. It's just the game's regarded as it's the 12th best game on Metacritic ever. Mario Odyssey is the 8th best game on Metacritic because Jim Sterling gave it that 7 at one time. All Nintendo fans are salty about that still. But Breath of the Wild, it's one of the top 15 games on Metacritic ever for a reason, and I just really can't say anything that hasn't already been said. Now we're in the top 3. This is the best of the best. Crazy, like it's hard to pick between any three of these. But number 10 or number 3, like I said, this game's a 10. Sorry, top 10 list. I have Mario Galaxy 2, and I mean just everything about the first one upgraded. It's just insane. Some of these boss fights are crazy. Like having the flying bee, the cloud suit, everything about it. It has possibly the hardest video game level in history, which is having to you jump on the block and it disappears, and you have to get all the green coins on the Luigi face near the end, and you have to beat the Shadow Mario. Like I said, this game came out in 2010. I was 9 years old, and I still remember all this. Like just sitting here thinking about it, I still remember this stuff. And I was 9 years old at the time on the Wii using motion controls. But if the game did motion controls right, it was Mario Galaxy. But Mario Galaxy 2 just upgraded on the original on everything you could possibly think of. This is probably the best platform game ever made, and I don't know if it'll ever be beaten. Just being honest, but it is just as good as it could possibly get. And all the power ups and stuff, like the swimming in that game. I'll never forget the big shark level where you have to avoid all those. Like I just remember all this. It's that memorable. The game's just crazy. It's regarded as the best game on the Wii for a reason, and the Wii's one of the best selling consoles ever, and this is one of the best selling games ever too. But it's just that good. And it's widely regarded. Every game is comparing Mario Odyssey to this and Mario 64 to this, and it's just the gold standard for platforms, and I don't know if it'll ever be beaten. Now, number 1 and number 2 right here for these games. These are two that I was struggling to pick between. I go back and forth every day. Every time I talk about it, I'll probably choose one of these two, and I don't even remember which one I've chosen the most, but it's just crazy to pick. But number 2, I have The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Anyone who plays this game knows just what you can do. The Dark Brotherhood storyline in that game is as fun of any video game storyline I've ever played, and just everything. You can go through the whole game, not even fight a person, just kill animals, sell the wool and the pelt and the meat, and just buy a house, live a normal life, go get a job. You can marry somebody, and that's just if you don't even want to kill anyone. Then you can fight the dragons. You can try and save the entire kingdom of Skyrim. Then you can join the Dark Brotherhood, join the Companions, join just all of it. The Thieves Guild. There's just so much. And the amount of times you can play through this game, I've probably played through the intro level on this game at least 25 or 30 times, and this is just how many times I've restarted the game and played through it again. And I even know what's going to come, what I'm going to do, where the enemies are placed, and I just still have a great time every time. Now, people complain about the combat, but just the amount of options you have to do in this whole game is crazy. And even the story, the main story is not like, the main story is okay, but the side stories, random missions, you can just be walking through a field, somebody runs up, and somebody's robbed their house, you got to go help them. And you could spend 2 hours on a random side quest and literally get nothing for it if you want to, and just kill time doing anything. You could just fight animals the whole time, and you can have fun. Some of the big hidden, dungeons in this game are crazy good, some of them. And it's just, the game is a classic for a reason. It's one of the best-selling games ever. I've bought the game 3 or 4 separate times on different consoles for a reason, and you just never know it's that good. And the game's not overrated at all. If people give it a hard time every now and then, but the game it's widely regarded as the best RPG ever for a reason. And number 1, this is the one that I switch Skyrim with about every time I do it. And this is probably the most perfect game ever made, and that is Bloodborne. Anyone who plays Dark Souls knows how Bloodborne changed it up and made it, and people were worried, but it's just near perfection. And I didn't play it as soon as it came out. I waited just a little bit, so I didn't have to deal with the loading times. But the game was perfect. The boss fights, I still play this game like at least 2 or 3 times a week. just because it's that good. The new game plus the DLC is some of the best DLC ever made, and just everything about this game is as perfect as one can get. This is I came in, like I said, I had seen so much about Dark Souls, but I had never played it at the time. I was just going by what everybody else says, and then I've gone back and played Souls games since, so I know how it changed it and it kept it true to the original. But I did not know what was going on. I actually bought the game, died over 50 times on the first level, took it back to GameStop. Yeah, you know how much trading value you get at GameStop. Then I bought the game again, and it was just everything about it was. It's pretty much perfection if a game ever was one. It's not. It's hard but fair like every Dark Souls. The story is very interesting if you get into the lore of it. Playing with friends is good. It's not overpowered. You can't just call them in whenever. The boss fights in this game are crazy. Just the boss design of Vicar Amelia was absolutely. That's the boss I'll never forget. And the first boss, jumping on the bridge, I was on the same boss for 7 days. It took me literally a full week to beat one boss. But it's just, it's an amazing game. I still play it all the time. I still have it on my PlayStation for a reason. I still play it all the time with everything that's out. That and Skyrim, it's just, I can go back any day and I'll enjoy it and have a fun time. But it's, people say it's one of the best games ever made for a reason. Anyone who hasn't played it doesn't know too much about it, but you can look at anyone who has played it, and it's one of their favorite games ever, and I think it's the best Souls game from all of them that I've played. But this is my top 10 list, and you can tell how passionate I am about the top 10. We'll go ahead and go from number 10. Number 10 is Gears of War. Number 9 is Resident Evil 4. Number 8 is Mario Galaxy 1. Number 7, Pokemon Heart Gold. Number 6, Mario Odyssey. Number 5, Black Ops 2. Number 4, Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 3, Mario Galaxy 2. Number 2, Skyrim. And number 1, Bloodborne. Thank you for watching. Be sure to comment your thoughts on these games and what your favorite game ever is. Be sure to subscribe for more awesome videos like this, and be sure to like and share with your friends. Thank you for watching. Peace out.